we go into organizations now today and you see that there's a disconnect. You have a disconnect between your higher ups, so your leaders and your leadership staff. There's a huge disconnect there, and the people who are always putting their hard work in on the ground level is never heard.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Dr. Tori. Dr. Tori, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the platform and everybody here. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great. Thanks. And I am super excited about what we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, let everybody know who you are or a highlight of what you do for business.
Okay, well, as you guys know, I am Dr. Tori. I am a transformational life and business coach, as well as a serial entrepreneur and a new mom. So I combined
Yay!
all of that love and pretty much, put my heart out there to help others, other mompreneurs too. I focus on the mom behind the business. And I have my youth programs as well and definitely a few books out, but my passion is definitely helping others. So I'm here for that.
You are
All
busy.
very much so, yes.
Awesome and quite prolific. So let's get into actually, before we get into that, how did you get into kind of the psychology of business as your thing?
Well, okay. I always knew I wanted to go into psychology from the time I was in probably elementary school, middle school. I always knew I wanted to help others. And, when you have that old soul, everyone comes to you for advice. And it's like, okay, so people are coming to me for advice. Probably my niche is in, counseling, therapy. So it's okay. I'm going to do that. But on that journey, psychology is a very broad topic. I wanted to do school psychology, went in. I think the professor told me in my master's, she told me, this is a very morally rewarding path, but by the time you're in the middle of the program, you're going to be a zombie. And I unenrolled immediately. I did not want to be a zombie. At that point, it's like, you're taking the life out of me. I won't be able to really give my all. And I'm like, you know what? I got to pivot. So I was opened up to IO psychology, and I was able to pretty much put business psychology to every business sector, not just confined to one. And I was like, that might be a thing. And then as I finished that, with my minor in um, occupational health, I had the opportunity to go straight forward and get human organizational psychology with a focus on organizational leadership. And I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, business psych, I can help others, I can help organizations, I can help individuals. And it was just in that niche of me not being confined. And you never want to be confined in anything that you do. So with that, I jumped all in and now we're here.
I love it. And so it takes a special kind of person to have that title and go, yeah, that fascinates me. Organizational psych. That's what it's like, okay. So what was it particularly about that industry that fascinated you? Other than obviously the open-ended question of it all, which I get. But when it comes to the differentiators of that versus say just business psychology or just kind of parasite psychology. What about that made you fascinated?
I believe the fascination on it too, especially when I was going for my master's, the fascination of it was being able to help the individual. A lot of times you go into a field and we go into organizations now today and you see that there's a disconnect. You have a disconnect between your higher ups, so your leaders and your leadership staff. There's a huge disconnect there, and the people who are always putting their hard work in on the ground level is never heard. So for me, it was like, hey, if I'm able to go into a focus where now I can zone in on giving those people a voice, or even, helping those people get their ideas out there, or help them even transform so that way they are seen by leadership, then that means that we can change how an organization may run, and even change the world if you look at it like that, right? So that was my fascination. And then being able to go deeper into the occupational health and making sure that the overall well-being of the person was important. I feel like if you're not good to yourself, you're not good here. How are you going to be good outwardly? So being able to infuse those two things was like the thing that checked my boxes. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling good. This is morally rewarding for me. And then, I mean, the payday at the end of the day, if I do all this work and I put my best foot forward, it could be really great there too. But the moral part of it really sat with me well. And I'm always here to help the underdog. So that was definitely my go-to for that. Yeah.
I know a lot of founders of companies particularly find it difficult to kind of draw that line of, where do I take care of my team? When am I babysitting them? And like, we're going across the, very much across the line here, because a lot of them kind of don't know where that line is. And they either end up avoiding their staff completely, or it's getting to the point where it's almost therapy, or they've crossed a lot of lines that just shouldn't have been crossed ever at all. So how do you work with companies to kind of figure out where that line is? Where do you come in? How do they know when to bring you in? All that kind of fun jazz.
Well,
28,000 questions there, so feel free to answer whatever you want.
I think to be honest with you, I think it all starts with the needs assessment. So, you have individual businesses and you have these founders. These founders started off these businesses with a mission in mind. They had knew something that they wanted to do, they're passionate about it, and now they're putting the product forward. And then you have those people that started off with you, those probably your veterans. So they seen all the ups and downs of everything. They seen when everything was probably chaos. And then they seen it when it started to really trickle out and had like a smooth transition. And then you have the new people that are coming in that are just in that new transition. So there's a difference between the two, right? And you never want to step on the toes of those who have been loyal to you. But I would say literally it's when the founders want to go through that shift and they want to go through that change. And they want to make sure that they are still aligned with their mission, but they also want to scale and elevate it and, bring more into that vision because probably they have evolved themselves. They want their business to do the same thing. That's where you'll see me come in. Because now it's okay. What do you need? Where have you started? Where are you trying to go? And then just gaining the perspectives of their staff. What do you guys feel about leadership? Where do you see that there may be some lackings, or where do you see their strengths? And then with all this information as you gather, then you're able to be like, okay, these are probably the intervention tools that you can use, or these are probably like, the programs that you can instill. That way you're not crossing those boundaries of therapy. You're providing people to help with that. But then too, you're also giving them programs that probably they can help themselves. So like, do team building activities outside of the building. Go do retreats. Everyone is able to now be equal. They're able to communicate and talk. But then too, it's like, seeing where your vision aligns with each other. Because sometimes too, as people in that organization grow and their circumstances outside the organization grows too, their morals may change, their values may change. You may have someone who probably started off at the company who was 21, fresh out of college, go getter, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to do that. They've been there for 4 or 5 years. Now they're starting a family. Their values are a little bit different. I need my work-life balance. I have a new baby on the way. I want to get married, or I'm getting married. So I need funds a certain type of way. So when those values change, you really have to, you know, shift with everybody, but then also still hold true and hold 10 toes down to where your values of your company is as well. How can we align and how can we both grow so that way no one feels that they're stagnant and no one feels like they're not being heard? So that's where that goes. I think I answered all of them in like
I
one.
think you did. Very impressive. So when it comes to working with you, are there kind of foundational, you mentioned the values and communication, how you see leadership. Is there kind of a framework or a structure that you're looking to go in with, or that you use to be able to help people to kind of structure that? Or is it a free flow conversation of, hey, what's going right, what's not?
Well, ideally, when we first go in, there are a couple of standardized test analysis that you would do assessments, right? You have your
Yep.
needs assessment, you have your SWOT analysis. You'll do those things that are common.
Mhm.
You'll have your SMART goals. Figure out what you want to do. Is it attainable? How soon do you want to make these things happen? But then at the same time, every business is unique. Every leadership is unique. So you can't just be so rigid. You have to be able to be a little bit flexible. And then I found that being able to now recognize the organization and the leader as their individual unique self, I'm able to get better results because I'm not just applying what was done for company A can be same done for company B, and they are probably not in the same sector at all. It's the same thing that you see with your employees too. You don't want to be looked at as just a number.
Mhm.
You have your unique goals, your unique strengths. And when your leadership or the people that you work under can actually tap into those things and see those things in you, it makes you want to continue to put your best foot forward, put yourself you know out there more, like, hey, I'm being recognized for who I am, I'm being seen, and I'm being valued. So any person who's valued is always going to be their utmost best self. So that's ideally how you have to do it with business too.
Mm. So is there any kind of, what would seem problematic to a business when they're thinking, oh, Dr. Tori, we need to bring you in so bad? What kind of symptoms are they looking for in their business?
Um, the problems that they're probably
Yeah.
seeing, some problems can be resistance. You have a culture in your workplace that is not ideal, but you have, like I said, you have probably older staff or staff that's new, and there's a resistance in the change. There may be a trust issue that's going on. So, some people may feel like they cannot communicate their ideas, or they cannot communicate, how they are truly feeling. So it's targeting those small things, because those small things can make such a big deal in business, and it can make or break a company too a lot of times, because your internal customers, I call them internal customers, your internal customers are not happy, they're not pleased, and then they're bickering between the two of them. That means that work is not getting done. The priority of the external customer or even the organization as a whole is not being prioritized because there's so much drama that's going on just between the internal customers. So it starts with, I think, those two things. It's the communication, it's the work culture for sure. And if there is some resistance there, you're always going to have a challenge. And it's better to go with the flow of things and go against the grain. But sometimes you have to have those hard conversations. So communication is a big part of it.
Right. I think it kind of always comes back to communication, but that is such a huge topic. I mean, it can be anything from conflict resolution, change management, the list just is almost perpetual. And especially as a business is changing within those kind of verticals of change management or conflict resolution, then of course there's everything else that happens with it. So when you're working with the customer, you mentioned they would go through a needs assessment, figure out what that is. Is there kind of, are you working with the individuals? Are you working as teams? Do you do both? What is kind of the tactics of how you do what you do look like?
So again, every organization is different. You can have an organization that can have 100 plus employees, or you can have an organization that could just be a group of 20. So it's easier to do one-on-ones and get to like the nitty-gritty of each individual person. But when you have those larger companies, you do it in the teams. What teams and groups are put together? Is it your ops, your human resources? How you layered out your teams and your groups, you target each group and see exactly where they may have an issue, because ultimately you need every group to work together. And once they start to have a cohesive flow, then you'll see a bit of change. So I'm always going to say I think the one thing I'm always going to say is always going to overlap. It's unique to the business and it's
Right.
unique to their structure. And you alter, you pivot so that way you're able to help them. It's not a one size fit all ever. Mm.
So one thing I've noticed in the last few years is that family life and business life have become intertwined. It's like once upon a time they overlapped. Now it's like they're inseparable. And how, in your opinion, has that changed the landscape of business? And I guess we'll go from
So yeah, we've seen that intertwining come, I want to say really strongly, especially during the pandemic,
there, right?
because now all of our devices became the place where we go to for work. Instead of having to go outside and travel, commute, you just wake up, roll over, get your coffee, get in the computer, and get on, right? Or your phone is everything. So the regular employee who probably would have a 9 to 5 is now readily accessible 24/7.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that shift and seeing the intertwine, it has caused a lot of stress, upheaval of stress for sure. Because then people don't know how to like shut off. They don't know how to get that work-life balance. I'm so sorry. I was one of those people. Like sometimes,
Well, and I have to laugh because I think everybody lost their boundaries.
yes,
It's like 9 to 5,
that's
Monday
it.
to Friday, leave me alone at lunch hour. Everybody knows what's going on. But now it's, well, I didn't get time to do it 9 to 5, so I'm just taking care of it now. You take care of it on your time. But meanwhile, their phone is going bing, 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 bing. And you're like, okay, I want to kill somebody. And our time zones have changed. Once upon a time, we were doing business in our own time zone, and now we're doing international business. So it really is 24/7. And I think to some degree, we have to figure out when we shut off,
Mhm.
regardless of when the bells and whistles are going. But how do you turn your phone off when your kid's with the babysitter? You got to make sure that you're available when the babysitter calls and goes, hey, your kids are shoving each other's heads down the toilet and I don't know what to do about it. So,
Yeah, definitely.
ow.
I think that balance comes into play. You have to find your groove, right? Um, as a new mom, I've experienced that hustle and bustle where it's like I'm getting stuff done. I have to get this done, this done, this and this. And if I wasn't able to do it when the baby was down, then I'm gonna be doing it when she's down and it's probably 2 in the morning, but I'm not sleeping, which means I'm gonna be probably miserable out my mind tomorrow morning, but I'm just gonna work, right?
Right.
Um, but what I realized is like you literally have to find your pockets.
Mhm.
Um, I typically would sit here and say, anybody, if the saying goes, you can send a text message in a couple of seconds,
Mm.
right? Then you can probably do the same amount of, hey, I can't come to the phone right now. Those quick away messages that people, you send them to voicemail real quick and or the text message pops up, that's useful. But it's definitely important to find at least 10 minutes, even if it's just 10 minutes out of your day to sit down and be like, all right, I know I need 10 minutes in this window of time because between my lunch break and between the time that my child comes home or my family comes home, my partner comes home, I'm in that my battery level is depleting, which means I'm a little bit more irritable. I'm tired. Probably didn't have my caffeine for the day. Like, so you have to
They
prioritize
sound like very universal themes. I don't.
because it really like you when you think of it, it's like these are the most common moments that everybody has because we're all human and we will separate it, all the time. Like, well, you're a mom or you're a dad or, you're a grandparent, and you just isolate these different things as if these are still not human beings with human responses and human feelings and emotions. We all need sleep. We all need to eat. We all need just to mentally take our mind and our bodies just out of the electrical space too, because a lot of that can definitely rewire frequency, right? So we all need those things. You just have to prioritize them. So I'd say 10 minutes just for anyone to start putting in that practice. But Lord, like I'm telling you now, 10 minutes will not cut it sometimes. So you have to prioritize self-care for sure. And that means probably even just bringing out your inner child again and doing something that you love to do, that you haven't had time to do it. Make time to do it. Go paint, go draw, go color, go to a yoga class, pottery class, do something that you probably was like, oh my God, I used to love to do this as a child. And then now you just haven't found the time to. If you can find the time to pick up the phone 24/7 for work, you can find the time to sit down and be like, you know what? I need to find an activity that I can do to just de-stress.
Nice.
And that will definitely change the game.
I I love that, and I love this conversation because I do think that despite all that the pandemic brought on, it brought us to an even playing field. It
Mhm.
was everybody's kids were knocking down the door going, "Hey, we need to buy the dog food." And it's like, "Not right now, don't." And then dogs coming in and all of the things that are human, we
Mhm.
all got to experience from everybody else. It was no longer, hey, we're at a boardroom table and you're at the end and I'm at the foot and your suits are nicer than mine. And all of the stuff that happened in corporate is kind of the level playing field. Even as we're going back into it, I think it's really important, especially for the business owners and founders, to remember the humanity of the business and that they don't have staff, they have people who
Mm.
are trying their best to do their best to learn, to succeed, to feel confident and competent at the end of the day and want to learn and grow themselves. And how do we, especially in a company of 100, how do we give a voice to everybody? And it is possible, right? If it's possible to serve 1,000 people, then it's impossible to hear 100 voices. And I think it comes down to being able to work with somebody like you that has the capacity to do that and go, okay, let's break this down into bite-sized chunks that are manageable for you and equitable for everybody else.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a team effort. It's never just one person, it's a team effort. So, I mean, if you was to just look at it like that, and sometimes too, like, the business owners and business founders, some can have a very just really straightforward and strict mindset of how they want things. And yes, you can have these great ideas. Yes, you can have you know, these steadfast paths that you want to do and definitely be on. But then you have to know that there's always going to be some bumps in the road.
Mhm.
Not everything goes according to plan. You're going to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, just in case something happens.
Right?
And then even when you have all those contingency plans, something still can happen and you wasn't prepared for it. So it's just a matter of, okay, I got to breathe this out.
Mhm.
What is my next step? What is my next action plan? And it may not even be something that you had thought of.
Mhm.
And that's when it's like you start leaning on the people that you work with. And I feel like I will live by this quote.
Mhm.
Um, I don't say I have people that work for me. I have people that work with me. Because ideally it's not just me who is making this company grow and flourish. It's definitely all of the hard work and the effort that everybody else, whatever piece they may play, whether they are a virtual assistant, an executive assistant, or someone that is my COO, my CFO, or even just someone who is teaching on one of my courses. Everyone is playing a pivotal part of how my mission and my dreams are being put out there. So I don't have people that work for me. We work together because ideally somebody's idea is going to surpass mine and is probably going to be the solution piece to this puzzle. And I can't think of it. So I would always say more brains are better than just one. And if you have that mindset, I mean, you're opening up the doors for a major transformation, just not just within yourself, but with your staff and with the people you work with and your organization. So that's why I say I'm a transformational leader and life coach.
Nice. Well, and I think some of the best leaders in the past, and I say the best leaders in that they had a vision, they executed. So Walt Disney, Ford, right? They knew exactly what they wanted to have happen, how we get there is kind of up in the air. But I mean, Disney knew that there were people, engineers that were going to build the rise. He wasn't going to go and build the rise. I have a vision of what it looks like. You're going to have to figure that one out and keep it safe and
Right.
all that kind of fun stuff. Same thing with Ford. And it's being able to look at your business in that same way, that your goal is unshakable. How you get there has to withstand an earthquake. It's going to shake.
And there's a ton of earthquakes. This entrepreneurship, any business starting off, the first 5 years are the
Right.
hardest. And a lot of businesses fail within those first 5. So you're going to go through the ups and downs. Not one path looks like it's a steady uphill. Never. It's always something that happens, something that you would have never expected. It can be something as simple as not having the right business insurance that you would not think would affect you, but it will affect you. And it's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? And how did I get in this position? Literally, I thought I had all my business insurance. No, you did not have the coverage that covered this particular thing. And now you're stuck and probably have to start back at ground zero. And it's like,
Roadmap.
oh,
And that's what you get for going to a website without going to a consultation. Exactly. So in a moment, Dr. Tori, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before I do that, we're going to go for a little bit of break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/.
So I'm super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
so a Cinderella story I'll share it. I won't say any names, but I had a young woman who was definitely going through transition. And her transition was being at home with her 2 kids, and she was leaving a long-term relationship. So now she had to transition on her own. And being that she had a story to tell, she wanted to put together a job. Not really a job, but I want to say she wanted to put together a business. And her business started off with just writing one simple book. And the book was sharing her love for her kids. So we brought this story to life. And I mean, the peaks and valleys, there was peaks and valleys. Like, if she wanted it to be all of 10 pages, nope, we had to up it. You got to give me at least 30. If you had an illustrator who did not give you the proper content that you wanted, nope, we got to go find a whole new illustrator, maybe a little bit more out of budget. So there's a ton of curveballs. But what I can say is that she was so diligent and she had such passion behind her project and what she wanted to bring to life. And by the time that everything came together, just the smile on her face and the way she was able to bring this story to life and then now promote it and put herself out there to be like, hey, this is a story that, I want to share with you guys. And it's about family, it's about siblings, it's about community. And just seeing how her confidence skyrocket just through that journey, that is a Cinderella story. Because honestly, the transition itself is tough.
Right?
And then get hit with all those curveballs. um, Anybody else would have probably been like, you know what? It's not meant for me to do this. But she was able to take her passion project and then now turn that into another stream of income for her. But then also she was able to infuse that story into, different organizations and different schools where they can pick up her book and put it into a curriculum. And now she is able to have her story out there and her kids are able to see themselves in the book. And I think that is so awesome.
Right? That's fantastic. That is super cute. That reminds me of, and I'm not thinking it's the same person, but I do want to bring in this gal wrote a book with her son, and the two of them now go and speak around the world and do this. And I'm seeing families coming together in that respect, that it's not just, hey, I run a business and one day my kid's going to take it over, which is a fabulous, and not knocking that one at all, but to actually bring them in during the planning decision, during the business efforts of it, and to build a business together with your kids, I think is just fantastic, awesome, amazing.
Yes, I mean, kids have such an imagination that, we as adults, if we did not hold on to that imagination, we kind of just let it go to the wayside. But their imagination, when it's at this height, this peak,
Yep.
The thoughts that come, the ideas that come, like just how they see it, it will take one thing and probably make it into 15. And then just the colors is so elaborate. It's like, I needed to have that youthful spirit while I was doing this, because now this makes this so much more fun and so much more worthwhile. And when you're not doing something that you feel is a job, you're doing something that's like, I love to do this. It's not hard. I can just pick up and do it. Things go so much easier.
Right?
Easier, yeah.
Awesome. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Well, I do have a book, so you can go get a copy of my book. It's called The Sound of Business: Seeing Entrepreneurship Through Hip Hop. It's on Amazon. I do have my website, thesoundofbusiness.org. You can go on there. If you want to book a discovery call with me, you definitely can set up a time on my calendar, and let's rock and roll. I'm here for all your transformational leads, and definitely for those moms that are ready to make that big change. So I'm your
Beautiful.
girl.
Tell me more about the book. How did you come up with that?
So, okay, that book, I want to say that book started my business. In my master's program, my professor, we had a capstone class, and we were told we had to write a book of everything that we learned and everything that we implemented. Okay. But I am not the average girl, and I could not just put together a book that was going to be a read of just everything I learned. I had to put me into it. And I love music. I love hip hop. I'm a creative. So I use my love of hip hop and the hip hop culture. And because hip hop culture has so many different avenues of entrepreneurship, from the deals that they do with tech companies, clothing brands, just the artistry of your A&R labels. And, if you have a spirits brand in the liquors, or, those merges, it was a very opportune time to be like, hey, you can shine light on this. So I did that. My professor came back to me and said, Tori, you need to publish this book. And I ended up publishing it, and it went #1 bestselling on Amazon in IO psychology. So that is definitely how I ended up naming my business, The Sound of Business. And it just all started from there and continued. Now I have, books for kids too. And yeah, I bring it all full circle. So if the adults get it, the kids need it too. You can never start them too young. So
Exactly. Absolutely. And on that note, when mine was might have been a toddler, I would read them business books because I wanted to read the books and I needed to have bedtime stories. So I was reading stuff like Robert Kiyosaki, or, the Science of Funnels, or whatever it was. Just read them to him as bedtime story, and he loved it. You just got to have a little sing-songy voice to it, and it was great.
He pick up on anything though? I feel like he probably had like such a business mindset after that.
Oh yes, he does. He sees things in ways that other people just don't, and he's and an avid reader, I might add.
You just dropped a major gem for so many parents. If you are still in your studies, have them study with you, put it in a sing-songy voice, and they will retain it like it's nothing. Awesome. I gotta start doing that with my 2-year-old.
Absolutely. Awesome. We will, of course, have all of Dr. Tori's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, click on the links, open up in a new browser, because we're not done yet. So I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I think I knew I was kind of crazy enough to be an entrepreneur from the time I was young. I mean, I always say I always knew I had some screws missing. So it was meant for me to do it. I'm just here to do it.
That's awesome. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
I just want to say thank you to you for this platform, for this opportunity. Thank you for being such an amazing spirit and soul. This was such a fun conversation. And for all the listeners out there, follow your dreams, be authentically you, because your audience is out there for you as well, and you are meant to succeed. Don't stop.
Love it. Thank you for being here with us. I appreciate your time, and I know how valuable it is.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.